More. It's clear that you think Lucio Steelwind would have much to gain from this, but can you think of anyone else? Well, there is Harold Haraldson. That can't be his real name. No, it's probably not. But what would Mr. Haraldson possibly gain from Frega's death? From what I've heard, William was planning to defund the Haraldson Hall of History. Really? Why would he do that? I'm not sure of the specifics, but supposedly Lord Haraldson has refused to omit the less flattering parts of Wivengard's history from his exhibits. It's gotten blatant enough that he's drawn the ire of the king himself. They actually got into a very heated argument during the Lord's Ball about it. I heard that William declared he would be removing House Haraldson from his estate. Well, we don't want to suspect Mr. Haraldson, but we do need to examine every possibility. It might be the monkey, I'm just saying. As the curator, he would have the easiest access to the Sword of Spell-Eating, and he could have staged a robbery to cover his tracks. At the very least, we should give Mr. Haraldson a chance to explain himself. What can you tell me about the defendant in the case? What? She's your client. Surely you know her better than I. Humor me. Well, I'm sure you're aware that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago. In doing so, she not only dealt a blow to House Frege's reputation, but she also directly insulted the Crown Prince by breaking his engagement to him. Ah, so we're getting a timeline on that. So that didn't happen before she left. That happened when she left. Wait, Beatrice was engaged to Oster? Yes, it was quite the scandal at the time. And Lucio wasted no time in pushing his daughter into taking Beatrice's place. Oh! So this engagement is part of that feud. Curious. Oh, is that why those three were so awkward last night? Honestly, this situation is just an absolute mess, and that woman's return will complicate things. Are you referring to some other woman? For some reason, I feel like he's not referring to Beatrice there. Maybe he is, I don't know. Beatrice's return complicates things. What did he mean by that? Or does that, or is Beatrice's return, does he mean it complicates the engagement? Because I could see that as well. Did you find Beatrice's return to be inconvenient for you? What are you on about now? Please, don't insult my intelligence. Fine, if you must know, my son was arranged to marry William's daughter, Luff. Oh, interesting. Luff. Since Beatrice showed no signs of returning, it was apparent that Luff would inherit House Frege instead of her. I don't know. William seemed keen on a woman not inheriting the estate, so is it Luff or is it someone else? I want to see this will. I know when my days are numbered, so I took preemptive action. William wanted a male heir, and I needed to preserve my house. So we both came to an accord. Ah! So your son was going to be the heir. Interesting. My son-in-law were arranged to be wed. House Von Sanctus would have been absorbed, but at least my Jaden would stand at the helm of House Frege. Interesting. You nobles are absolutely awful. I should probably consider myself lucky. Well, I mean, it's a way to survive. It's a way to keep your bloodline going and maintain power. It's what needs to be done when you play in these circles. Think what you will. I wouldn't expect a commoner to understand. And that's the problem with your generation. You have no sense of duty or obligation. Luff has already expressed resistance to this marriage, even though she was well aware of the details. Now I worry she'll hide behind her sister and end the engagement altogether. Yeah, that does complicate things, doesn't it? Luff Frege was due to be married to Jaden Von Sanctus. I wonder if we'll meet him. This arranged marriage was facilitated by William Frege and Lloyd Von Sanctus as part of the diplomatic marriage. House Von Sanctus would be absorbed by House Frege, but in return, Jaden would inherit the entirety of House Frege from William. Luff knew how this marriage would affect the future of House Frege. She had expressed resistance, but Lloyd Von Sanctus worried that William Frege's death could cancel the marriage altogether. Huh. I wonder if Jaden is the murderer. That could be interesting. Luff never mentioned any of this, and as much as we hate to think it, William's death would get her out of the arranged marriage. Maybe, possibly. We should talk to her about this. Anyway, Von Sanctus gave us a decent list of suspects. We've probably learned everything we can from him for now. Maybe best to move and follow up on these leads. Alright, I'll just move. Good luck with your cold, man. What about the rest of this? Gallery. Oh yeah! Okay, so this was in the gallery. Hang on a second. The gallery was upstairs. Interesting. That's weird that people would go upstairs to where all the bedrooms are and stuff. And it wouldn't be downstairs. I wonder if there's a reason. For the sake of the case, why that would be. Huh. Alright. Fair. We can go back to the gallery to talk to Harold Haraldson. Okay, let's revisit the scenes we know we don't need to go back to first, just in case there's something new. And then we'll hit up our argument with what's-her-face. Nothing really would happen here. That's a stepladder. I agree. We're done here. Hey, you. I feel like we could probably present you some things, but I'm going to worry about it later. Whatever. Did. Okay. Alright, you. I want to argue. Yeah, let's fight. Okay, so this is all whatever. Talk. All this stuff is gone. Alright. What was William doing? So we want to get more details about what he was doing when she last saw him, what he was going to do in his study, and this is really being fueled by that comment that we saw in her thoughts about he's probably going off to change his will. Time to fight. Lady Frege seems to be hiding with her father, what her father was doing in his study. We don't think she's doing it out of malice. She might not even think that it's relevant to the case. But William Frege had many enemies and is retreating into his study to do something that night. And that something can be related to why he was murdered. Yeah, let's start an argument. It's fight time, round 1. Believe in victory. Is there something you're not telling us, Loth? I can't escape from crossing fate. Wait a minute, I can't escape from checking the psychological profile. We just met Loth Frege today, and she has no reason to trust us. She believes in Beatrice's innocence over everything else. She's usually sincere, so it's unlikely that she's actually involved in her father's murder. She might react well if we respond with a similar sincerity. Okay. I have a feeling you know more than you're letting on. What? What was your father doing in his study? I already told you. I don't know. I have no idea what my father was doing. My father was a private man. He wouldn't share something like that with me. Well, straight up present, eh? I have no idea what my father was doing. I refuse to speak with almost anyone trying to disturb you. Maybe we present this because of her thoughts? We know that he entered the study to make an adjustment to his will. We don't know that. We don't know that. Alright, let's see if there's anything else first before we jump to that. Lady Frege, blah blah blah. None. Okay, so I don't think she would feel as if he would do something related to this. There's no real reason. This has nothing to do with anything. I don't think he, anything to do with the rats. Who are you? What do you want? Also, what about this? Who are you? What do you want? He wouldn't shout, who are you? At most of the people we could peg as suspects right now, because William would know who those people are. Da-da-da-da. Fled. Map. Lockdown. Security. Sword. Yada yada. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. Okay. Again, this feels like a jump, but it's the only thing that I can find any relevance with, so I guess it's correct. He was making some sort of change to his will, wasn't he? What? Did someone else tell him? Why did you find the need to hide that from us? I didn't! The thought we saw earlier seems to disagree with that. We've only just met today, so I understand if you don't trust us. But the Inquisition thinks that Beatrice murdered your father, and they claim that she did it for his inheritance. That's absolutely absurd! Regardless, your father's inheritance is a likely motive behind his murder. Many people would have a lot to gain from his death, including you. Excuse me? I was not involved in this. How could you even think I'd be capable of something like this? We're just gonna start an argument with everybody. Let's not say that. Maybe? I don't want to threaten her. We gotta do something that'll be consistent with her psychological profile in order to maintain rapport and get through to her. I don't mean to imply that you were involved in this, but it's clear that the murderer's motive was to take control of House Frege. I mean, this seems like the least inflammatory. And if we're going for not the sincerity and stuff like that. Yep, okay. I didn't mean to imply that you were involved in this, but it's clear that the murderer's motive was to take control of House Frege. That means that their plan heavily relied on who William Frege was leaving his assets to. So I need to know, Miss Frege, how was your father planning to change his will? I don't know. I was never aware of the details of my father's will. I already told you, my father was a secretive man. He didn't share the details of his estate with me. Really? I was never aware of the details of my father's will. Well, I mean, you were aware of this. Okay, this is probably likely, but let's check our options here. Blah-de-blah-de-blah, yada-yada-yada. Nothing to do with the will. Rats in the vents. We're gonna leave everything to the rats. What do you want? No. Lockdown. That has nothing to do with the will. Still weird why this thing got crushed. That's gonna be curious. Died. Illusion magic. Yada yada. Bloody-ba-blodities. Okay, I think it's this. Is it really true, though? What? I already know about your arranged marriage to Jaden von Sanctus. And I also know that as a part of this deal, Jaden would inherit House Frege instead of you. You definitely knew about this, and you heavily resisted the marriage in an attempt to stall it. Which means that you had some idea of how your father's will was arranged. So what aren't you telling me, Miss Frege? I can't trust you. What? You're here on behalf of Crown Prince Oster. The Four Pillar families and the Crown have much to gain from my father's death. How can you assure me that this information won't be used against my family? So that's why she's been so secretive. Well, let's see. There's nothing I can possibly say to make you trust me, but please understand I'm only trying to find a... Well, that seems like the sincere option. I was only hired to arrive at the truth. Well, I don't feel like that's the option. I feel like one of these two would probably do it. Let's try the appeal. I have lots of health. Alright, there we go. I wonder if the other one would have also worked. There's nothing I could possibly say to make you trust me, but please understand, I'm only trying to find out who murdered your father. And to do that, I need to know everything that he was doing that night. I want an argument with you, so you have to tell me what I want to know. I have no reason to trust you, but somehow, I can tell that you're being sincere. Will you really protect Beatrice? Well, don't ask what we're gonna be doing in 12 hours. Yeah, first try, go me. Perfect! We're about to reassure her that we will, but something in the back of our mind stops us. Yeah, we might not do that. I'll get to the truth of what really happened. Okay, if that's truly what you're planning to do, I'll tell you what I know. You do that. I wasn't trying to be uncooperative, but I didn't know who I could trust. Considering the circumstances, that's perfectly understandable. I'm not sure why, but my father was extremely upset that night. Oh, we could probably take a guess. According to him, Beatrice had returned and was even more impudent than before. He must have been angry about something she said during their meeting. Did he tell you what their meeting was about? He didn't, and I honestly didn't really care. I was just so happy that my sister had finally returned. But my father clearly felt the opposite. Before he entered his study, he told me that he would be pruning the family tree. He was going to disinherit my sister and several other members of our family. Ah! Interesting. So it was something that was going to happen today and not 5 years ago. He probably started drafting a new will to reflect that decision. William Frega's inheritance has been updated in our notes. Beatrice Frega fled from her family. Oh, this is just updated. On the night of the murder, Beatrice finally returned home. She arranged a meeting, didn't go as planned, and Beatrice angered William enough for him to declare that she would be disinheriting her that night. Has anyone found the draft of this will? No. It was one of the first things I looked for after the investigation began. The modified will is missing? Uh-oh. We doubt that it would ever be enforced. He never got the chance to submit it for probate before he died. But we can't discount the possibility that the murderer destroyed it. Did anyone else know about this? No one. I didn't even tell Lady Steelwind when she was questioning me, because it would have given Beatrice a motive to commit the murder. Anyway, thank you, Miss Frega. Mr. Cuthbert. Yes? My sister is not a bad person. There's no way that she'd do something like this. Despite what she says, she seems to have some doubts. She's in good hands. Ruby Tamora is the one defending her in the trial, after all. I hope so. Anyways, we think we've learned everything we can from Loth. There's only one last person to speak with. Yep, Harold Haraldson. And that'll put us... Oh, we're over the 3-hour mark. Where are we going? Gallery. I just want to double check. This is all old stuff. This is a complete mess. Well, that thing is just straight up gone, isn't it? As we enter the gallery, we spot Haraldson inspecting the shattered remains of a display case. If we recall correctly, the display case that he's looking at once held the Sword of Spell Eating. Sure did. Also, the bracelet is gone. That intellect bracelet is gone, Zolios. Also, is that what the earrings look like? I thought they were green. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. I had a feeling I'd see you again. He's working for the Crown Prince. Can he be trusted? Ah, he heard about that. It seems word has spread about our deal with Oster. Hello again, Mr. Haraldson. Harold. Oh, right, Harold. I'm sure you already know that I'm investigating the murder of William Frega, and the prosecution suspects that someone used the Sword of Spell Eating to break into Lord Frega's room. I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the theft last night. I'll tell you what I can, but I'm not sure how much help I'll be. First of all, the display case that held the armbands of intellect is empty. It is. What about this? The display case holding the earrings of vitality is completely untouched. Oh. Whoever stole the artifacts ignored it. Fair enough. I guess they just weren't involved. They just weren't interested in eternal life. Okay. Frieza, you're off the hook. It's a painting of a researcher. Oh, wait. I've seen these. Yeah, that's the same text as before, even though it's new. It's a new magnifying glass. Sorry, Kickstarter backers. I'm going to rush past you.
Arcane.
What is this all about? There are traces of evocation magic on the shattered glass. Evocation is the school of magic that creates and unleashes raw energy. It's the most primal of the 7 schools of magic. Someone must have used a powerful spell to blast the display case apart. Did someone hear that? We just casually mentioned that, eh? Someone just cast a full meter Hadoken. What about this? The display case is completely shattered. The thief was able to do this despite there being several abjuration spells protecting it. So the bracelet is also involved in this. Yeah, I wonder if they gave it to the monkey. Because if we're going to keep suspecting the monkey, which at first was a bit of a joke, but is starting to get a little more interesting. What if they gave it to the monkey to make him more intelligent? I wonder if the monkey still has the thing on him. The monkey is right there. I want to hear the monkey talk. I can't believe a museum owns such a powerful magic item. I would have expected the noble houses to take it for themselves. Well, the nobility of today don't have much use for items such as these. The power of a lord is based on politics rather than magical strength. The reason he said the monkey is because is it possible that the guy you're talking to is the same person from the painting? What, you think this guy here is the guy in the painting? Or was there a painting with the... Oh! I don't know about that. I don't think they look very similar. But I do think it's curious, when you say the guy, do you mean the guy who got erased or the guy who actually had the monkey on him? Because I thought the guy that had the monkey on him was actually a girl. It was tough to tell considering the monkey was pulling his face. But, yeah, I mean, it's worth noting there was a monkey in the painting. The power of a lord is based on politics rather than magical strength, and a noble wouldn't want to wield the sword of a demon even if the legends are just stories. A demon? Yeah, you weren't here for that. Oh, right, the sword of spell-eating is said to have been forged from a pact between a demon and a mage. Isn't making a pact with a demon just asking for trouble? They'd definitely betray you for the first chance they got. Well, legends say that demons often drafted blood contracts for this reason. He could be his descendant. Very possibly. Very possibly. You know what? A lot of the people that we've been talking to could be descendants of the people in that painting. Wait, do you mean like a legally binding contract? The concept is similar, but once you sign a blood contract, both you and the demon are magically compelled to fill its terms. It's said that violating its terms will result in instant death for the offender, no matter who it is. So... this raises a few questions. Number one, I actually wonder if Beatrice lost her eyes because of a contract with a demon. I also wonder if our mother got her eyes because of a contract with a demon. And what conditions we're gonna have to fulfill in order for us to not get punished, shall we say. So I guess there's some protection. Well, as an attorney, I'm sure you understand that it's possible to exploit and use loopholes in any contract. Ever read Chainsaw Man? And according to the legends, demons take great pride in their ability to deceive and corrupt people. True. According to the prosecution, the theft took place during the Lord's Ball. Shouldn't there have been plenty of witnesses in the gallery at that time? That's the strangest thing. Supposedly, the gallery room was completely empty when it happened. What? That can't be right. And honestly, I have no idea how anyone could produce enough magic to shatter the display case anyways. Weren't the wards protecting the cases that powerful? They were powerful, but that's not the issue here. It would be one thing to dispel the wards and remove the glass protecting it. But it's another thing entirely to completely annihilate the abjuration wards and shatter the glass. Doing something like that would require an extremely powerful spell, far more powerful than what would have been needed. So someone was just doing it for shits and giggles? The sword... every single person in this building better be holding on to a spell compendium right now. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. It's been updated, okay. When wielded, blah, blah, blah. On the night of the murder, someone used a powerful spell to completely shatter the magically protecting glass that was containing it, and it was later found in Beatrice Frega's old room. So you're saying that the force applied was excessive? Yes, and that's not the worst of it. It's clear that the Sword of Spell Eating wasn't the only thing that was stolen. Yep, we see that too. Yeah, look at the monkey! 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 Look at the monkey right now! Look at what it's doing! There's no way there's not a bracelet of intelligence up your ass or somewhere. It's under his hat. He's wearing it as a headband. Like, come on, look at him! Look at him! And it's coming up during this text line. Come on, come on, come on, come on! What? Was another artifact stolen that night? Yes, obviously. You mentioned that another item was stolen. Yes, it's extremely concerning. Doing the anime tipping the glasses exactly. And the Sword of Spell Eating was reported missing. I checked the other... after the Sword of Spell Eating was reported missing, I checked the other exhibits. You didn't have to check very hard, did you? That's when I discovered that the armbands of intellect had been stolen as well. And unlike the Sword of Spell Eating, we still haven't found the armbands. We look at the glass case where the armbands used to be. How'd they get out of there? That one didn't get smashed. They've been removed, but the glass case is completely intact. The thief didn't shatter the glass. I wonder if someone else stole those. Oh, Moreover, the armbands were actually replaced with a very well-made replica. What? Why do it like that? The armbands of intellect are an ancient artifact when worn by a creature. again, it specifies creature, so I don't know, monkey. On the night of the murder, Harold Haraldson discovered that the armbands of intellect were also stolen, the glass case holding the armbands weren't shattered, and the armbands were replaced with a very convincing replica. So how did you tell they were stolen? Yeah, what's going on? The two thefts are completely different from one another. It is curious. I am still very wondering what the hell is up with that wolf. But the monkey is more suspicious at the moment because he could get into that study through the fireplace. The wolf is weird though. Are they even related? Or did two different thieves coincidentally steal from Harold that night? It is curious. You mentioned that someone would have needed a powerful spell to shatter the display case. Wouldn't that narrow down the list of suspects for the theft? Not everyone attending the ball could cast spells that powerful. Well, according to the Inquisition, Bria Freya's magic was powerful enough to have done this. Discounting the fact that she's completely blind. Yes, I'm well aware of that. And it doesn't sit quite right with me either. Was there anyone else at the Lord's Ball capable of matching Beatrice's power? Only the heads of the four pillars could have invoked magic this powerful. But apparently Beatrice is an exception to that. Is Beatrice really that powerful? Or is she being scapegoated by one of the house leaders? But the cases can't be opened normally, can they? Or they can be opened. Otherwise, how would you transport the artifacts from place to place? Ah, yes, the magical locks on the case can be disabled. We detect some fear. Is he hiding something? How are they normally disabled? They can be turned on and off using a spoken password. And how many people know this password? Only myself. I personally oversee the transport of these items when they're moved. So, how would someone get that? The artifacts on display at the Lord's Ball were protected by layers of abjuration spells. The spells that guarded the displays can be temporarily disabled using a spoken password, but Harold's the only one that knows it. So Harold could have stolen the sword that night. Could he have staged the robbery to cover his tracks? We still need to argue with you, don't we? Harold, the witness told us that you got into an argument with William Frege on the night of the murder. Was William Frege planning on defunding the Haraldson Hall of History? Uh-oh. Well, now we're mad. Yes, he was. He made that very clear. But that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with his murder. We're not saying that you did, but I need to explore every possibility. So I need to ask, did your argument that night turn hostile? I'll admit that our discussion turned heated, but it never escalated to threats or violence. With how insulting he was, it should have. William was being unreasonable, and I was frustrated. But that's all there was to it. He deserved what happened to him. Oh, well, that's not very nice. The eye shows more resentment than he's letting on. You have any conflicts with him prior to that night? We have had disagreements in the past, and he was receiving pressure from the royal family about what I was displaying in my museum. The king believed that some of my exhibits were too controversial for the public eye. What do you mean? I'm sure you've noticed the rising tension between the common folk and the nobility. I've never been one to shy away from the bloodier parts of Womenguard's history. The citizens must know about these parts of history, otherwise we're liable to repeat them. However, the king believed that my historical exhibits did nothing but dig up old wounds. Nothing but simpletons, the lot of them. The nobility thinks they can smooth public relations by censoring history. Boy, because that always goes well, as if it couldn't get any worse. Anyway, it's clear that Harold is passionate about his work. Did that passion drive him far enough to commit murder, though? Thanks for your time, Harold. Harold. Yeah, that's what I fucking said. Hang on. Yeah, thanks for your time, Harold. Harold. What? What? Why are you doing that? We'll be on our way. We have a lot of info, but none of it really leads anywhere. Well, what else is new? But the game does that well, which is why I like it. So many people had a motive to murder William Frege. But who actually did it? Perhaps we should take some time to review everything we've learned. Ah, it's minigame time. Motives aside, let's go over the events that happened that night to the cool music. It all started when the sword of spell eating was stolen. What do we know about the thief of the sword of spell eating? We don't have a specific suspect, but we do know something about them. The thief, then, might be, is a, might be, is not a, is a, might be, is not a. 3 options. Master Rogue. Meh. Well, this isn't a proper sentence, so it's probably not that. How about Izza? It would be one thing to dispel the wards and remove the glass protecting it. Maybe it's the way how he pronounces it. I apologize. Oh, Harold. That's what you mean. Possibly, but you'd think that would be explained in the text in some way. And not just leaving me to... Like, how else do you pronounce Harold? Anyway. It's another thing entirely to completely annihilate the abjuration wards and shatter the glass. Doing something like that would require an extremely powerful spell, far more powerful than what would have been needed. The thief was a powerful mage. That's the only way they could have shattered the magically reinforced glass. What if they used a magical item that simulates a spell, though? Because we've seen people use artificery or stuff like that, like the Rod of Mending. They don't have to be a mage if they just have something that can cast a nuke. But what about Harold? He could have just unlocked it using his password. He could have stolen the spell as the sword and staged a robbery, but he couldn't have shattered the glass. Only a powerful mage could have done that, and I doubt Harold would lie about that when we could easily confirm it was Steelwind. Right, but then what happened next? They brazenly stole the sword of spell-eating. This caused Harold to report the theft to the Kingsguard. After Lord Haraldson reported the theft, the Inquisition discreetly placed the manor on lockdown. They searched every room in the manor to try to find it, but it was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom. And that led to them believing that she had stolen it. That's correct. The Kingsguard moved to arrest her, but Prince Oster ordered them to step down. And then there's Loft's statement. My father was extremely upset about something. I think Beatrice may have offended him during their meeting. The servant said that he wanted to be left alone. He retreated into his study immediately after their meeting. I tried to speak with him when the theft was reported, but he didn't much care about the missing artifact. This happened before they activated the lockdown. It was a little after 1 a.m. that night. That's a fair window between the theft and the lockdown. Loft's account gives us a clear fact about when William died. Well, he died after the sword was stolen, is that what you mean? Loft... Harold, Beatrice, William? Loft died after the theft was reported. No, Loft spoke with Lord Frigga before he went to his study. Yes. And unlike the Nightgrave case, the time of death was after this encounter. Yes! It's unlikely that Loft saw someone else disguised as their... So? I don't follow. That's not an explanation. It wouldn't be before the theft was reported. After the lockdown activated. Okay. William Frege was murdered after the lockdown was activated. Picky. This means that whoever killed him bypassed the lockdown and broke into the magically locked room. They had to have used the sword, right? Nah, monkey. That's likely, but not necessarily true. An anti-magic field would have also had the same effect. The murderer could have stolen the Spell Eater sword to throw off the investigation. But anti-magic field is a high-level spell. How many mages would be able to cast it? And I doubt any of the nobles here will let us see their spell compendiums. Well, I say that I guess the Inquisition, if their main job, as Orium so begrudgingly admits, is to protect the nobles, they can't really demand the spell compendiums, because the nobles are just going to tell them to go pound sand. But because of how powerful anti-magic field is, we can still conclude that the murderer is a powerful mage. Eris. This actually narrows down our list of suspects. That's still not concrete evidence, though. And we haven't even spoken to all the suspects yet. Right. We never got a chance to speak with Lucio Steelwind. Was he here? Was he actually in the building? But given his status, we wonder if that would even be possible. Either way, it's a good start. It's not as if we're defending this case. The trial is getting close anyways. We don't doubt Miss Tamora's abilities, but we should still share what we've learned with her before the trial begins. It's a little strange that we haven't seen her since the investigation began. Yeah, that is strange. But she might be meeting with Beatrice at the dungeon. Oh, you just popped right back in, huh? I thought we were going to have to argue with you. Well, that's just right up there, isn't it? Yeah, this all seems boring. This is all done and done. All right, away we go. We arrive at the dungeon and search for Miss Tamora, but the music didn't change, so I doubt she's here. She wasn't at the crime scene, so she must be here to discuss the case with Beatrice. Or at least that's what we thought, but we don't see her anywhere. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh, hi. We were so caught up in our thoughts we didn't notice that we were walking right in front of Beatrice's cell. Well, she's got to be able to sense and see things somehow. You need to not be here. Every scene that you're in, what did you do to that painting? And why did you do it? This woman. I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to see you here either. Yeah, Celeste is still terrified of you. Celeste's instincts are still that Eris is extremely dangerous, and Celeste is correct. Celeste lets out a shriek as Eris approaches us from behind. My god, she's the Bracken. For a split second, we see her hand dart toward her sword. It appears that she still hasn't gotten over instinctual fear of Eris. Eris, what are you doing here? Ah, Beatrice is actually an acquaintance of my father. He sent me here to help her through this ordeal. How? Her father is the eye taker. Again, how does he connect to all this? He's going to come up. Again. That brings up many more questions, but we don't really have time to pull on that thread. We have less than an hour before the trial begins. We need to find Miss Tamora. Have either of you seen Miss Tamora? I have some things to share with her. She was just here, but she left to retrieve some documents from her office. Do you have any idea when she'll be back? She didn't say, but if your discussion has something to do with the case, I could pass a message on to her. We feel a little hesitant for some reason, but it is her life on the line. Does this lead to the argument that we end up having? Because we still have to have that. If anyone should know about what we found during our investigation, it's her. Okay, I'll tell you what I know. We spent some time going through our findings with Beatrice while Eris is standing here, which I don't trust. From our list of suspects to the possible motives behind the murder. We noticed that with each revelation, she becomes more uneasy. Uh-oh. The idea of someone framing her must be stressing her out. I see. You've certainly been very thorough. Sure, I'll have a little more hydrate. We're probably getting close to the end of the stream anyway. You've certainly been very thorough. Yeah, but I still have no concrete evidence that points to anyone. Uh-oh. We underestimated him. If he reveals these findings to Prince Oster, he might suspect something. Uh-oh. Maybe she did do it. Also, what's this we stuff? What if Ruby and Beatrice did murder him? I've been talking a lot. My throat might be dry. My throat was dry, which is why I took a unprompted hydrate not too long ago. And I'm taking 2 now. But like I said, we're almost done, which is good because I'm almost out of coffee. This thought, though, if he reveals these findings to Prince Oster, he might suspect something. So she's getting uneasy because things are getting uncovered. What? No. You stop looking at me. You fuck off. You get out. I don't want to. No, I don't need you here. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You already did something. What are you going to do? This creep show. Sorry, I was just deep in thought. And we were able to catch one of those thoughts. Beatrice, I'm sure you're aware that Prince Oster has your best interests at heart. Oh, really? I know. Even though we haven't spoken for the last 5 years, I still consider him a dear friend. Then I suppose you have no issue with me sharing these findings with him. Of course not. This is bad. Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved. What's this? Okay, we clearly said that to evoke a response, and this is the response. This is bad. Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved. Okay, that he can't be Oster because he already knows that she's involved. Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved. I mean, I can't imagine she's referring to the eye taker because Eris is probably going to tell him whatever as well anyway. If Eris and Beatrice are friends, then Beatrice probably knows who Eris's father is. Who is this he stuff? Yeah, wait, what was that? Even he wouldn't support us if he knew that I was involved. Eris, are you going to try to intervene in this? Are you going to try to interfere? Her thoughts just said that she was involved. Did she actually murder her father? See, this is what Steelwind, when she was asking about what would you do if you knew your client was guilty, that was a foreshadowing, I imagined. And it looks like it's going to pay off quickly. Is something wrong, Mr. Cuthbert? You look a little pale. I have no idea what's going on because I'm just here listening and observing. Tee-hee-hee. Beatrice was actually behind this, but how? She's completely blind. She couldn't have navigated through the manor and avoided the guards. Well, she could have navigated through the manor. Maybe not avoided the guards, but if Ruby was with her... No, we must be taking her thoughts out of context. That's it. Mr. Cuthbert, perhaps you should get some rest. You look Fuck off. Okay, no. You shut up. You shut up right now. Mr. Cuthbert, perhaps you should get some rest. You look dreadfully tired. Says the blind woman. Tyrion, you need to run. You need to run and not look back. This is some Martian Chronicles bullshit. That's a creepy line. Anybody who saw that line, anyone in chat who's paying attention, that should have put a shiver down your spine. You look dreadfully tired. You said what to me? Excuse me? Baking powder? You were fucking right. I mean, I proposed that she might not actually be blind, or at the very least was able to see in some way that was unconventional, magically. She wasn't blink. I think very carefully about what to say next. Yeah, you need to... I think your life is in danger, buddy. These women are dangerous. We're gonna use the empowered eye, and we're gonna do it in front of Eris? Oh, this is a bad idea. This is a very bad idea. There's one way to get a certain answer through the eye, but if we're wrong... Oh, this is why we argued with Ruby. This is why Ruby got mad with us. This is why we had to have a little fight. Beatrice, you weren't actually involved in this, were you? Tyrion? We see her gaze narrow in response to my question. Once again, she claps her hands together. She's clearly trying to stay calm. No, maybe that's part of the deal that keeps her sight working or something. Do you suspect me now, Mr. Cuthbert? You didn't answer my question, Beatrice. The moment she shakes your hand is when I spotted that. No, I mean, there are blind people that can approximate where to put their hand. I mean, I'm not going to judge her based on that. But when she says something like, you look tired, that's a red flag and a half. That's like a, wait a second, what did you say to me? As if I'd even need to justify it with a response. But no, Mr. Cuthbert, I was not responsible for my father's murder. Well, there we go. At least not directly. I was technically an accomplice. Well... It was Beatrice and the monkey. Maybe it was Beatrice and Frege, because, like I said, I suspected Frege instantly. For literally no reason. But, they could have been in it together. Or it could have been... Or she could have orchestrated this with Harold. She could have orchestrated this with basically anybody, because she came back to the mansion out of the blue. And it would make sense, because someone mentioned something. They theorized, or at least questioned why this would happen, or why she would come back during the Lord's Ball. Harold would have been here during the Lord's Ball, so if he's her accomplice, or if he did it and she helped, then that would explain the timing. If it was Frege, it would matter less, but we'll see here. I was technically an accomplice. Well, poop. You were an accomplice. You worked together with someone. Cuthbert? Ah, Miss Tamora. My mentor seems to have sensed the mood in the air. She raises an eyebrow at me. Miss Tamora, can I speak with you alone for a minute? There are some things I need to tell you and you're not going to like them and we're going to have a fight. Okay? Celeste, you stay out of here. What's wrong? Is everything okay? Celeste, you hang out with Eris, your best friend. Miss Tamora, Beatrice, she actually did murder William Frege. Miss Tamora's gaze narrows. Her eyes dart around the room to make sure the guards didn't overhear us. What are you talking about? How could you possibly know that? I used the Eye of Horus on her. She conspired with someone else to orchestrate William Frege's death. Well, have you told anyone else about this? No, it's not as if they believe me anyway. You're the only other person who knows about my abilities. Well, here comes the fight. Okay, just stay quiet about this for the time being. Anyways, again, I need to get ready. The trial starts in half an hour. What? You're not seriously going to defend her, are you? Of course I am. I'm her attorney. But she's guilty. I saw it. Well, as I said, Steelwind foreshadowed this. Look, at this point, I don't know what you saw. Do you think I can just abandon a client minutes before a trial? No, but it's not for either of us to decide who's guilty and who's not. Everyone has a right to an attorney. Our court system needs a defense attorney and a prosecutor to keep things fair. Again, this conversation takes a very different tone if this is the murderer that she conspired with, now doesn't it? But we don't know that for sure. More importantly, you had no right to use the Eye of Horus on my client without my permission. What? But I don't have time to argue about this. We will be talking about this later. Before we have a chance to respond, Miss Tamora walks away. Celeste sees both of us and awkwardly approaches me. Hey Tyrion, is everything okay? Celeste, I think Beatrice was actually behind this. What? I don't blame her for not believing me. It's not as if we can tell her about the Eye of Horus. I was about to say, at some point she's going to learn. You've confided in Ruby. You're probably going to confide in her at some point. Although, why haven't we told her? Alright, I'll believe you. What? You wouldn't say something like that if you weren't sure, right? But if what you're saying is true, what do we do now? We think long and hard for a moment. I don't think we need to do anything. What? Steelwind is handling the prosecution, and she's definitely no pushover. If Beatrice is truly guilty, I'll just have to trust her to get the job done. Either way, I don't think we're in any position to get involved. All right, if you say so. It's really none of my business. We have no stake in this. We're not obligated to do anything. We've done everything we can. It's in their hands now. We're fast-forwarding through the earlier part of the stream. But then this happened. It's none of our business. Yeah, you just keep telling yourself that, boy. I still want to know about that assault, though. Why did Steelwind get cut up? This isn't our fight. William Frege was a tyrant and a bigot anyway. He's a noble who did nothing but steal wealth from the common folk. The world is better off without him, and it's not as if we didn't try. All we have to do is wait for the trial to run its course. I wonder what Oster is going to think about this, because again, Beatrice was very nervous about us telling him things. So we should go tell him things. Objection? Objection! I saw that coming. That was a weird sprite snap. Dun, 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 Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet. Mr. Cuthbert! Cuthbert! Also, is Ruby gonna... I wouldn't say blackmail, but she could threaten to expose us if the stakes get high enough, because she knows why we know what we know. She could blab. I don't really see any consequences for her in doing that. What the hell are you doing? I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a massive contradiction in Miriam Frege's testimony. Yep, we actually know what that is now. Who are we kidding? As if we were ever the type of person to stand by and do nothing. Save? Yes, I saw that save coming. 1,000,000 miles away. And I am very grateful for it because I think that is a perfectly good place to cliffhang the stream and see what happens next time. This has been a really good case so far. I am very curious where this is going. I hope it doesn't let me down. But we are off to a strong start. So, Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed that. It is a cliffhanger. I think that's one of our better cliffhangers. Most of the time I just leave off at a save point where it's like, well, it's a cliffhanger because we want to know what happens next, but this is a little more literal. So that was a fun time.